What's going on, everybody? It's me, Mark. Welcome to another episode of Blerdkast Live. And tonight is probably one of my favorite shows of the entire year because I have some of my favorite photographers on screen with me today, and we're going to talk about DragCon. We're going to talk about doing cosplay photography. We're going to talk about doing something we all passionately love so much. But before we begin, I would like to introduce my guests for this evening. I would like to start right here. Let's go this way. Mr. Dru, how are you?
Hey, it's the other way for me, so I'm like, all right, bet. I'm doing good. Just relaxing. Glad it's cooling down and drying off.
Perfect. That is awesome. It has been very hot the last couple of days. Let's go below you and introduce Mr. Bill Walters. How are you doing this evening?
Doing good. It's been kind of warm out here, visiting family out in Kansas and Iowa before I head back home to San Francisco on Wednesday. So right now it's kind of just enjoying a little bit of a quieter life.
Perfect. And last but not least, my favorite photography mentor of all time, Dr. Lost Photo Lab. Willis, how are you doing today?
I am doing good, living the dream. You are far too kind, Mark.
No, we're going to get into all that because I have special relationships with all of you. Every single one of you have taught me a valuable lesson in photography that I will never forget. But first, I would like to start off with this. What is each of you, everyone can answer, what is your favorite body, camera body and lens to shoot with? If you have to just run and gun and you only have one body and one lens, what is your go-to?
I'm already ready. Y'all can go though.
I would just go. In the end, I love my my Canon with 2470 2.8. Just kind of like if I've got one thing for an entire weekend, nothing else. If I have that, I'm good to go.
Yep,
that's a good choice.
Same for me. It's just a Sony. I shoot Sony, and it's a 24 to 70 2.8.
Okay. Yeah, I run the same, a lot of the same stuff, either a Canon body with the 2.8, or sometimes I'll use the 24 to 105 in case I need to like zoom in and get something from distance, from time to time. But yeah, I mean, I think all those are good options.
I do the same thing, but I'm going to switch up. Well, I shoot Canon primarily, but for my lens, I just like the look of the Nifty 50. I know it's the cheaper end of the lens spectrums. It's not a 24 to 70. It's not a cinematic lens, but the Nifty 50, when it comes to shooting portraits and just being on the fly and just getting nice, creamy bokeh shots, the Nifty 50 has never failed me.
A 50 millimeter fixed. I mean, shooting with primes, if you are used to it, you can get a lot of really good work out of, knowing a particular lens and its pros and cons. Because 2470, we can always have a little bit of flex in and out. But if we've got something like, just a prime, whether it's an 80 or a 50 or one of the fisheyes, it's kind of like you can actually really dial it in as long as you can use foot focus to dial yourself in and out.
Perfect. Yeah. No, you're right. So we're all esteemed photographers by our own right. I would like for each of you to just go in and talk about yourself as a photographer at a con, because each of you do it in your own ways. Some of you have your own very large group shoots that I have for years have admired, and I will show up to your shoots and be like, oh my God, how do you get all this together? And then I finally got it, and I was like, this is terrifying. Why did I ever agree to be a con photographer? But Dru, why don't you go ahead, tell us a little bit about you, your photography background, and what it is that you do.
Well, for me, when it comes to shooting at cons, I like to implement the artist background. I got my master's in photography and my undergrad in illustration. So a lot of stuff that I shoot, I try to make it look like a drawing. So a lot of times, like the way I light things and everything like that, the compositions usually look like a Street Fighter stage or something like that. So I'm doing a lot of things that look almost like documentary because I did my whole thesis in street photography. So when I do cons, I'm normally going in there to capture the essence and the life of a con, and not necessarily like to get like this cosplayer or that cosplayer. Like I have like a group of friends that I'll go to see specifically, but when I'm going just to document the con, like for example, I shot for MomoCon for a number of years, and the thing that Stucky kept bringing me back for was because I shot it like a documentary style type thing, like street photography, but indoors. So you were seeing like the 1/125th of a second, like Henry Cartier-Bresson used to say, you see that 1/125th of a second of a moment in a con. So it's not just like, oh, it's a bunch of people in costume. It's like, well, what's happening? What story is being told? So when I go to cons, primarily my goal is to try to capture things in a storytelling type of way.
Okay. And again, I follow your work, and oh my god, your work is like insanely good.
Thank you. I appreciate
like trying to even mimic your style and just getting the technique is hard by itself. So like you definitely demonstrate a mastery of your craft, both with the camera, with the pencil. I've seen some of your paintings and illustrations. You are amazing.
Thank you.
You're just so amazing. I'm sorry. I know I'm goading everybody, but like there's a reason why I specifically wanted each of y'all on the show. Leigh, go ahead and tell us about yourself and what it is you do.
Oh, well, I am I'm actually a behavioral scientist. I don't really have too much training in photography. I mean, I really am a doctor, hence Dr. Law, but I did take some photography classes in college actually, and I've taken a few from the Atlanta School of Photography as well. And just kind of a lot of self-taught things, but my style really comes from, I'm a big comic book person. I grew up reading comics. I probably had about like, I don't know, 10,000 comics upstairs. And so what I try to do a lot of times is I try to actually paint. The way I frame things is in terms of like comic panels a lot of times, and I can't draw either. So that's just the way that I don't draw with, with media. I just draw with light, if you will, through photography. Yeah, so that's kind of my style. So I like the different angles. I like capturing like motion, like getting a cosplayer jumping up, swinging like Spider-Man, or throwing things, or those sorts of cool things are what I like to do.
That's awesome. And again, like I said in the intro, I've considered you like a mentor for so long because, especially like at Dragon Con, seeing how you operate, seeing how you command the backspace where all the photographers and videographers are, seeing you with in your special shoots that you do, like you do the Star Wars shoot, you do the X-Men shoot. You're one of the main photographers for Black Geeks of Dragon Con. I have always looked up to you when it comes to you.
Well, thank you, Mark.
And it's just because like you've been one, like you and Dru definitely have been two of the photographers that I've run into at cons, and y'all have been like, hey, like your work, but here's how you can do better. And you always push me to go further and do better. Even at separate events, y'all have given me gear to use just because you want me to experience using the gear, or just having a wider lens to use for some situations. So I just appreciate how much y'all have put in, the both of y'all have put into me. But before we continue, Mr. Bill Waters, you are also someone very special. You taught me some very valuable lessons that we're going to get into too. But tell us a little bit more about you and what it is you do at conventions.
At conventions, I do a range of different things depending on the event that I'm at. I've been involved with event production for a long time. Kind of like Leigh, I'm not a photographer as a regular day job. I'm a software engineer. But as time has come along and I've been involved with events, a lot of times people would get photos for us for the event, but it's very lovely portraiture, but that's not what you really want for a poster. You want to see families having fun and groups having fun and good, top tier cosplay and first time cosplay. And so I really kind of started out going out to try and get those photos, and then kind of wound up getting into the large scale group cosplay photography. And so really I come at photography myself in a light of almost on a journalistic sense, because I've shot like the Emmys and other events. It's a red carpet press junket sort of approach where you've got one shot to get the shot. I can't really stage things. I can't really do it with the lights. And one of the things I love working amongst the photographer community at DragonCon and other events is we can all learn from each other. I mean, Drew, like you were talking about early, I can't remember if the stream had started today or not, where you're talking about the other person that was with you and you started talking them through some of the angles. It's kind of like, for us non-professional photographers, sometimes we don't know what we don't know, and getting to see someone working with that and how they kind of do a different bit of a look at something, it really helps expand all of our ability to kind of make things work.
Perfect. And I'm going to piggyback off something you said. Seeing another photographer in action, like at an event at a con, is like secretly one of my guilty pleasures. Just because like seeing like the gear that they bring or how they utilize their gear with the lighting that's available, with the environment that's available, with the people that's available is something so fascinating to me, because photography is a science, but there is a huge level of artistic view or vision that goes into it too. Like having an eye to look for certain shots, look for a talent, if you will, to find the beauty in everyone. And like one thing I do is like love watching other photographers just create and just be in their element. And yeah, it gets a little weird because you're just standing there watching them. You got your camera and stuff. They got all their gear, and people are just like, "Why are you watching us?" And I have to explain, like, I just like watching an artist at work. Like if Van Gogh was alive, people would pay millions of dollars just to watch him paint? I'm sure. So I love that aspect of going to convention and seeing, like, I've seen Dru in action at a con. I went to, he did a panel in MomoCon, I think back in 22, and he was doing live cosplay demos. And I was like, oh my God, I would love to do something like that at the panel. And just like, he's explaining simple things like, here's how you should use a prop. If a cosplayer doesn't necessarily fit the body type of the cosplay that they're cosplaying as, or how to shoot heavyset people. You know, I learned a lot from just watching other people. That for me, I'm a visual learner, so I gotta like watch and do and watch, rinse, repeat. And the concept definitely helped me do that. So thank you for bringing that up. Now, Bill, I will like to bring this up. You do something very special at DragonCon. You help plan all of the cosplay shoots for the official, for DragonCon's official cosplay shoots for the whole weekend. Can you tell us a little bit more about that experience and what chaos are you currently in trying to plan out all of these photo shoots for 5 days?
Well, right now we're 2 months or month and a half out from DragonCon, and we're at 182 shoots for the weekend at this point. And it's kind of fun getting them all kind of squeezed in and seeing both the large scale, the super groups, like which right now is really Marvel, it's Star Wars. This year, I'm sure it's going to be Dungeon Crawler Carl. That's going to be our Barbie for this year, I'm sure. And it's helping people that really want to find a fandom, can connect with other folks, and let them have a place where they can all kind of come together and go, hey, we're having a great time. I loved the first time I came across when Black Geeks was doing their first group photo shoot, and everyone out there and just celebrating the fandom and everyone coming in. I'm like, this is awesome. And, you know, anything can do to kind of help reduce the barriers for people both being able to host a shoot, but also for attendees that might be interested in attending one so that they can find out about it. And so really it's a lot of kind of trying to get everyone to play nice together and herding slightly feral cats to make sure that they all play nice. I would say herding cats, but we all know by the time that it's Saturday afternoon, everyone is hot and sweaty. Everyone gets a little bit crunchy. And so just trying to have everyone play nice. No,
you're absolutely right. Cosplay shoots are like herding cats, and I'm just doing my group shoots. But like they're big, they're so big. I do the Avatar shoot every year, that's gotten bigger every year. The Power Rangers shoot I do every year, that's gotten big every year. And then I'll go and do something like the Black Geeks of DragonCon shoot that's 4 times the amount of cosplayers, and it's just instant overwhelm and anxiety. Like, oh my God, just getting everyone up to the stage for the first shot took 30 minutes for Black Geeks of DragonCon. But again, that photo shoot by itself, that cosplay shoot is an entire vibe. It's a cookout. Everybody shows up to be in that first shot. So we're going to go into that a little bit more too, because I have a whole thing about Black Geeks of DragonCon. Since we started the show talking about gear and talking about what our favorite gear running gun setup is, let's talk more about gear at a convention. We all do cons, we all do cosplay at the conventions. Um, Gear costs money and gear is heavy. How do you plan and pack what gear or plan what gear you're going to bring to a convention for what you ever plan on covering? Ooh, that was dumb twisted. Anybody
Well,
can.
I guess I can dive in. It just kind of depends on what I have set up for the day. The first thing I will say though is that there are a few standard lenses that I'll take, like the ones that we mentioned, the 24 to 47, just kind of the regular walk around lens. Sometimes I'll take a wide lens, like a more of a fisheye lens for the wider group shots. And then I'll have flashes and then I'll have lights sometimes. Um, but it just kind of depends on, like I said, what's going on for the day. But gear is heavy at times, lenses are heavy at times. So part of it, and I thought about it today, is you kind of got to train a little bit. I'll get out my neighborhood and I'll put all my gear in my bag and I'll go walk around my neighborhood just to kind of get ready for what that is like, actually. Because at a con, like Bill said, as you go along in the day, it gets hot, everything gets heavy. So I'll do things like that. The other thing that I'll do is I will bring a wagon, actually.
That's the
To
next thing I'm buying. I swear to God. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, it's no problem. Like to carry, like, light poles, flashes, lights, whatever it is, backdrops, whatever it is that you need. Um, those are two things that I would, highly recommend. And the nice thing now too is that if you're doing a lot of external flashes, there's a lot of them that are relatively light and really powerful now. It's not
Mm.
like the old days where everything had to be plugged in, batteries were limited, that sort of thing. So it, like I said, just for me it'll vary what I'll bring depending on what I'm doing, versus like a group shoot versus shooting at night, versus shooting like small groups or individual sort of things.
Gotcha, gotcha. Anybody else?
I think I remember when I really started at event photography, and then I kind of went through this bell curve of amount of gear. As I would see someone with other gear, I'm like, oh, I need that, I need that, I need that. And so I've got traveling with like 3 Pelicans and light stands and all this stuff. And now I'm like, no, if I can't fit it in 1 Pelican, screw it, because I just don't want to. However, actually, what Leigh mentioned is very true, especially like what is it, Godox right now. Those are wonderful little battery powered things that are relatively inexpensive. They're easy to haul around with. And I think there's definitely something for each person as a photographer, because we all go about our photography a little bit differently. We're going to need different amounts of gear and such. But it's kind of like, don't go to Costco hungry, because otherwise you'll end up schlepping huge amounts of gear around. And it's funny, I'll make the antidote that I usually now. Sony folks, I think, are more like Nikon shooters and Canon shooters. But the joke I always used to say between the two photographer types is I often thought that Nikon shooters are a little bit better photographers outright than Canon shooters. And this is why, because I'm a Canon guy, is if you notice most Nikon shooters, they've got a body, 2 lenses, and that's about it. And that's what they carry around with them. Now, look at Canon photographers. We've got equipment crap for all occasions, all kinds of things.
This is true.
Duplicators, all of this stuff. And so we will tend. So a lot of times I've seen, and I'm absolutely guilty of, is like, we'll get gear to compensate for not having really practiced with it enough, rather than being forced to, this is what I got to work with. And so I'm trying to do that more often these days and kind of go with a more minimalist. If I'll sling 2 camera bodies and 2 lenses, the 2470 and the 7200, and that'll just be it for the weekend. And I'll just get what I can. But again, I'm not one that, I don't have the ability really to, I'm not as good as many of you photographers are, Dru especially. You're a great shooter, where I can do large groups, panos, all kinds of, certain sorts of shots really well. But so many more photographers are really great at getting those gorgeous action cosplay shots and can do things with them. And so, man, I do better if I can help facilitate them get those shots, because it's not really what I've got time or energy or skill for.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair. Go ahead, Dru.
No, I was just saying that's all good stuff. Time and energy. Like a lot of times when I explain to people, if I'm gonna do that, I'm literally gonna bring my camera bag. It's gonna be the camera with the 24-70, and then I'm gonna have a Godox speed light, a Godox 8200, and I'm gonna have a light stand. So and a water bottle and a thing, and literally I'm walking around just a book bag and a light stand. I'm not doing the soft boxes and all that stuff. I'm not doing all that. Not when you walk around a con. Like it's literally like unnecessary. Now, if you have something set up, like I know people do where they organize with different cosplayers to set up specific private shoots, then you bring all that stuff. But if you're doing that run and gun like a lot of y'all do, nah, it's all in the book bag and it's at the light stand. And they're like, that's it? I'm like, yeah. And if it's gonna be windy, I might bring a little baby sandbag. But other than that, it's the Godox. He mentioned Godox. Godox is very inexpensive. It is very light and it's very powerful. Like I started off shooting with Pro Photos. Now I primarily use Godox. So I have Godox, all kind of Godox, 8200, 8400. I'm about to buy 8600. But to answer your question, is literally Godox Speedlight, which you can, if you have the trigger, it triggers the speedlight and it triggers the flash, the strobe. So Godox 8200, and then just a flash and a light stand.
I need to definitely take some notes from y'all, because especially like Dragon Con, like I forgot who said it, but it does depend on what you're doing. If you're doing photo shoots, group photo shoots, and private photo shoots, that's two different sets of gears you might use. If you're doing video, that's a whole different list of gear and extra gear you're bringing. If you're on panels doing all kinds of things. So when I pack up for a con, I have like one bag that's just for clothes. I cosplay now, so now I have a cosplay bag. Then I have like 5 bags of gear and only use like maybe 3 bags of it. I'll bring like soft boxes and light stands and everything, thinking I'm going to do this, and then the stuff just sits in the hotel room. So I need to take some notes from everyone and just focus on the things that I know that I'm going to do and just capture what I can with what I bring, because gear is heavy. And I'm tired of just sweating. I'm sorry. I'm just tired of walking around Dragon Con and just take off my backpack and just the imprint of sweat on my backpack for my backpack is on the back of my shirt. A little embarrassing. So
if I could give some advice, I would say just prepare ahead of time and remember, I mean, a lot of people come to the cons to have fun and stuff like that. And if you are organized for something, do that, like group shoots, you know what you're gonna do, yada yada. But don't stress yourself over, like treat yourself as the creative that you are. Like, be like, you know what? I'm gonna bring just my. You said you shoot with just a 50, so if you can shoot with just a 50, be like, you know what? It's a nice day out. What can I capture with just maybe a light or no light? Maybe I'm just bringing a reflector. Like, don't stress yourself out. I've seen a lot of cosplay photographers, and I'm like, ooh, I wouldn't want to be that stressed. Like, I'm like, relax, man. It's just they're not going anywhere. They're gonna be out here stressed, sweating with you. Like, don't stress about it.
Can I be honest with you, since we're talking about that? When I was just solely doing cosplay photography, there was no stress. It was just you show up, you have fun, you shoot. Everybody is beautiful in their cosplay. Just have fun. And I've gotten a lot of amazing shots. Some of my most famous shots I got from just having a light and a lens and a reflector and being underneath the stairs at Dragon Con, and just having the right cosplay at the right moment. And it worked out. Shout out to what's his name? Ooh Poppy, for giving me my best cosplay photo shoot I ever had. But when I started doing video as well as photography at conventions, that's when the stress started, because now I'm trying to get interviews, I'm trying to create vlogs, I'm trying to practice cinematic shots with the non-cinematic lenses that I have. That's when the stress started. And more specifically for me, it was MomoCon 2024 when I attempted to shoot my first documentary. That's where all of this became stressful for me. But we can talk about more of that later on in the show. There was a question that was asked that I do want to bring up. That will bring us to our next section that we're going to talk about. Where are the clients at? How do you get clients when you are working in a convention, when you're doing cosplay photography? How do you go about getting clients? How do you go about networking at a convention? And more importantly, what are the con policies for doing these things? And I would like to start this conversation off with Bill. Since you do a lot of the scheduling for conventions, and me and you have had these conversations, which is why I'm bringing this topic. How should one conduct themselves at a convention, if they're a photographer, videographer, and they're looking to grow their brand or get clients, or let's just rip the band-aid off, make money?
So basically, for Dragon Con, so the first rule really is if you're a photographer looking to go in as a professional or looking to make client contacts, as it were, do some investigation around the requirements for that particular event. Like MomoCon has one, MegaCon has one, DragonCon has one. Everything is a little bit different. The general rules for DragonCon is that photographers are not allowed to solicit DragonCon attendees for shoots of any kind, for paid shoots. That includes whether it's on-site, off-site, doesn't really matter. Now, people do it under the table, stuff like that, power to you. But what I found really handy is the ubiquitous, it's really been business cards for a long time. However, I really kind of changed that around and tell people just set up a QR code, have a printer printed out of it and stick it on the back of your badge. That way people, if you want to put a sticker of it on the front and back of your badge, that way if anyone, when some photographer goes, can I get your card? Just tell them, here, shoot this. And they can take a picture of it. They'll get your contact info, your Instagrams, all in one nice, happy shot. And you could just go on with it. Because let's face it, by Sunday at 1:00, when you pull out those business cards out of your pocket, they're a little squishy.
Yeah.
Or the person that you give it to, by the time they get back to the room, pull it out of their stuff. At best, it's going into a pile with all their other swag. At worst, it's dissolved from humidity. So let's put something that you can just kind of scan and do the thing. As far as like making contacts, usually it's good to get to know folks, because especially if you're thinking about cosplayers, if you shoot a cosplayer, you exchange information, and they like the shot that you come out with, then very likely you can engage with them. They'll know, hey, this person's cool, and you can kind of negotiate out, see if you want to book another shoot at another event, or if they're in your area to kind of get together and do a setup routine. Out here on the West Coast, a couple times a year, there's it's a non-event cosplay gatherings where just local area photographers and cosplayers get together out at one of the parks and just do a day of shooting. Get some hair and makeup folks, and it's just done as a day. And the photographers kind of get together and we'll swap gear out and kind of help, tips or tricks. And the cosplayers get their time to kind of practice on their poses too.
Perfect. Does anyone want to piggyback off of that?
Go ahead, Dr. Law.
Well, I've just seen it, happen a couple of different ways. Like Bill was saying, a lot of times you just need to really investigate what the con policy is. And then the other thing too is I will agree with business cards. We started off doing business cards and we just stopped, we just started letting people, scan our Insta, or we would do like a newsprint board that had like a QR code to say photos will be available at XYZ. The other thing is that, typically when we started out, we definitely didn't, like try to make money or charge or anything like that. I know that's something that some people do like to do, but I mean, there are some folks who do want to pay you for, shooting their photos as a way of like, respect and honoring your time and your skills and your excellence, of course. But, that you kind of have to negotiate that, or people want to tip you, if you will. That can happen, but the quid pro quo thing can kind of be a no-no. But just kind of meeting people, just hanging out, people will kind of see your work. Like some people will say, oh, you're such and such, I've seen your stuff, like it's really good. Like, do you want to shoot? One of the nice things here too in Atlanta is that there's a lot of different photo shoots that just happen, like Hair of the Dragon, where
Right.
in some ways it's kind of like almost like a cattle call, where you get a bunch of photographers and a bunch of cosplayers, and you just have at it, and it's a lot of fun because it becomes a party, similar to like what Bill is describing that happens out on the West Coast, but this is primarily indoors. And there's been a few times where we've done some things that have been outdoors, as well. Like we'll just say we're going to be here, just come by, come through, stop by, like that sort of thing. What do you say, Drew?
Yeah, what do you say, Drew?
Yeah, so as far as like, I don't really ever charge anybody at a con. Like, I go there to just document people, and like, I work in a corporate setting so much that cons for me is like I'm with my people, one of us, right? So like I love to look for the person that looks the most shy, and the one that's just like, ugh, and I'm like, can I photograph your cosplay? They were like, me? You know what I mean? So I love to make somebody's day when I'm at a con, for me mostly. So
Yep.
I just shoot people and I'm like, dude, you just tell me here, email me later and I'll send them to you. Like, or you can just click on my smug mug and I'll give you a link. As far as networking, I've been fortunate enough to like work with Cosplay Your Way, and Cosplay Your Way, Jabbar and them, they are the mouthpieces. They talk to everybody. And I usually just be walking along with them, like, So people are like, who are you? And I'm like, well, my name is Dru. They're like, Dru. I'm like, yeah, AMP Cosplay. And they're like, oh, I've seen your stuff. And I'm like, yeah, you want to shoot? Like, I literally just, I hang out with people. Like, if I see Dr. Laws, I'll go by him and rub his shoulder. What you doing? They're like, who's that little weird guy? I don't ever meet a stranger. Like, I don't ever meet a stranger, especially when I'm at a con. Like, I'm like, dude, these are my people. So like, I'll walk up on anybody and just start a conversation like we're friends. I'm like,
awesome.
yeah, so what, you going to Walmart later? And they were like, Walmart? No, why? I'm like, oh, okay, I thought you were going to get me something. Oh, what? You start a conversation. So I really like the idea that Bill said, though, with the QR code. Like,
yeah,
that's actually genius to do that. Like, you're just like, hey, scan this. I'm like,
and if you have one of those link pages of all the links, or to Leigh's point, if it goes to your coffee account, whatever, just that way they can just hit that and go there. Because I mean, for a hot second, all of us were starting to get those little RFID cards that you could scan it.
Yeah.
But the problem is Androids
cards.
have that default turned off, and so by the time you've talked someone through the whole process of turning it back on so they can scan you, they're like, oh, this is taking a while. Just give them something they can shoot it and go. And make it quick and simple. And I think one thing, Dru, that you brought up is in swinging by. A lot of times over the weekend at Dragon, as an example, is I'll swing by out there and kind of see what shoots are going on and just go by the shooter line and see, how's everyone doing? Is everyone okay? Has Leigh remembered to drink some water in the last 3 hours?
Right. No, you're good about that.
Some of those, especially some younger shooters who, again, I'll use that phrase of went to Costco hungry, and they've signed up for being the lead photographer, like 9 different photo shoots this weekend. They're like,
I'll never do that mistake again.
And it's kind of like, it's like, it's okay. I'll drink water. I'll be fine. And you're like, you're cute. And then you see them on Sunday crawling back towards the escalator. And just going out and checking on folks, make sure they're doing okay. Make sure they're not being, put upon by somebody, because we've all seen times where you get some asshat ne'er-do-well, whether it's a cosplayer that's kind of trying to take over a shoot, or some photographer that's trying to jump in there and do their thing. And it's all kind of, just we're here to help each other out, right? Because we've all had those moments, and just having an extra voice, especially when you're a lead photographer, if you're focused here and there's a problem over here, it's hard to kind of slice everything up.
100%. I agree to that. 100%. The QR code thing is genius. I have like staff shirts like this with my logo on the front and QR code for for my YouTube channel. Come and subscribe and this and that. In honor of full transparency, because I know my producer is spinning around in her chair right now that I brought the making money at a con thing. I have been one of those photographers that found out how to make money at a convention, how to get clients X, Y, and Z when I first started doing cosplay photography. That's a whole topic for another day, but my mindset has changed on the approach of when you go to a con, because I've learned things now. When I, back in 2019, asked a panel of photographers at a Dragon Con panel how to make money at Dragon Con, and the looks that I got and how security quickly came up and was like at the door and ready to bounce me out, taught me something. The cons aren't the place to go make money. You can sit there and think in your mind, oh, you spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on this cosplay, you can afford X, Y, Z for a photo shoot or some video, whatever. Don't have that mindset when you go to a con. The mindset you should have is, what can I do at this convention to practice and grow my skill set as a photographer, videographer? B, how can I network with other people, other creators, other photographers, videographers? And C, how can I work for the convention? Because ultimately that's where you want to be, is in a good spot with the convention where you can showcase your skill set and what you can do and what you can offer to the con, but also grow with the con itself. And then the con gets to know you by name. And then years later down the line, I mean, I know you got put in the work, but Now the con is coming to you and asking you like, hey, we have an available space. We see your work. You're fully vetted. We want you to come and set up shop and charge people to do shoots. Dragon Con has a couple of photographers where they have their spots in the Marriott and the Hilton. They are allowed to do shoots and charge and things like that. And it's because they worked with the conventions, grew their brand and their skill set, and created a clientele around them. And they were requested in to come in and do this. So the con reached out to them. There's been other conventions that I have done where, because of my YouTube channel alone, because they see that I like covering unique aspects of nerddom, they'll invite me to come to conventions and offer me certain things, which I never thought was even possible when I started doing any of this. I thought, everything was a hustle, but sometimes you got to think about where you want to go. And for me, making money at a con is only like a eating for a day type of thing. I want to learn how to survive for the years to come, not just for this weekend, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Very smart. I look at the cons, for me, it's an escape from all the stuff that we've been doing. Like Dragon Con is something that people look forward to every year, and it comes around once, and those days you're like, all right, it's go. And I mean, I know people that are just so fired up about Dragon Con. If I go, I'm like, yeah, dude, I shoot whatever. Just let me know. Like, as long as it's not hindering me, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's just do it. And I think the whole aspect of making money, I think Leigh said it best. If this person respects you, respects your time, respects your craft and all that stuff, and they want to shoot you some bread, then that's dope. Right. But when you come into it like, yeah, what's up with the money at? Where the money at? And I'm like, this is not what it's about. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, everybody. He's a doctor. You said you work in. What you work for NASA? What'd you say you do, Bill?
Oh, Code Monkey, software engineer.
Right. And I teach, and then I also work in TV and film, and I do a lot of corporate. So it's like, that stuff I do. That's where the money is. But the con is where we come to. Now, if you make money at the con, that's great. But you should be, like you said, Mark, sharpening your skills. This is a time when everybody's willing to take my picture. You have all different type of situations. What lenses are you going to use? You're shooting outside on a really bright day with a costume that's a person that's dressed like White Queen. That's a nightmare. How are you going to practice to do that? How are you going to practice to do that? Like, use that time to do that. Now, for those who do the big group shoot, I've never done a big group shoot. I usually just hang out and help people. Like, what do you need? You need me to hold you? You can lean on me if you need to. I don't care. So I don't know about that. I don't know how that works and where it goes. But I just think like it's the love of the craft when it comes to cons. And if you're like, okay, you're pulling me away from the con to do something specific for you, then that's when I'm like, okay, well, compensate me at that point. But I think going into it with the mindset of how do I make money is what pushes people off. And I think that's why Dragon Con, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs, but I think that's why Dragon Con's like, oh, whoa. We have people for that. Come here and enjoy yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. I think one thing that would be great with Dru, especially in your point, if you ever want to do like just a bajillion portrait shots and stuff like that, talk to Leigh, myself, others that are doing some of the big group shoots, because there's always the time when, everyone up on the steps, we do the whole big grand, but after that, it's all the subgroups. If we can send people underneath the steps and you can just go blam, 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 and get singles and double little small clusters, then it keeps them busy, but you also get a whole bunch of material in one shot.
Yeah, you get a bunch of stuff.
Lots of stuff.
Yeah. How you making that?
Yeah. And one thing I'll say too is that just what I've seen, this just anecdotally, is just that people who come in to the con space just to make money, they usually don't last. They usually end up, moving on a lot of times. That's just what I've seen in my experience.
Yeah. My personal take on again, everyone's mileage may vary. Kind of like what Dru said. I mean, cosplayers paying me to take photo shoots couldn't pay me enough to make it worth my time, right? It's because I enjoy it, right? Because think about what we make in the corporate world and stuff like that. They couldn't pay it anyway, so don't bother.
Right.
But it's like, just like the cosplayers spent all that money and effort in the costumes and transporting it and putting it on and all that stuff. I've seen photographers say, well, I spent money and all that, all the equipment and the training. I'm like, no one asked you to. You chose to do that.
No one told you to come.
I bought a Cybertruck. Now I should make dope on being an Uber driver. That's your problem. You chose. You could have gotten a simple, you could use your, like, let's all face it, we've seen people take amazing shots with their iPhones.
Yes.
Right? If you're a good photographer, you don't need all the flashbang. But I think at cons, it really is getting ideas. None of us are going to do our best portraiture, oh my God, amazing work at a con. Some people can, but for the most part, it's if we're in a controlled studio, we've got all our lights set up and this makeup, and then we got the fan going just right. Then we'll get those like masterpiece shots. The rest of the time when we're at cons, we're learning our skills. We're meeting people. We're connecting. And if they like you and you resonate well with the cosplayers, they'll say, hey, I'd love to do a longer session with you sometime. Let's work out an arrangement. And then it's whatever you and they want to work out. That's a very different situation. But the whole point is you're coming out of it with a good experience. You've made their lives a little bit, more joy as well. The world sucks these days. Anything that can make people kind of go, oh, you know what? I met some dope new people. We had some good times. And something Dru said is, one thing the world doesn't need is a picture of another hot cosplay chick. We've got plenty of those. There will always be those. But if you see someone that's not traditionally pretty or what have you, but they're in their costume, take a picture of them and go, I'd love to get a shot of you. And you've just made their day. Dru said that already. I just wanted to kind of hammer that home. Families, older cosplayers, men and women, people that aren't the sveltest in the bunch. No, just take a shot. I did a post rant a year or two ago at Dragon Con that something that I noticed, and it just shocked the hell out of me because it kind of like went back to my con time, and I've seen it so many times, is it's about 3 or 4 gals walking together and goes, hey, can I take a shot? All but one of them is really hot. Then you've got that friend, and the friend takes their stuff and steps to the side. And it's like, no, get in there. I want you to. And that's for us on the photographer side as well, to be aware of that person and make sure that they're included in that batch.
100%.
I had so many people commenting going, that even said, oh my God, I am that friend that steps out. And I never think about it. But so there's 2 people, when that happens, 2 people are at fault. One is the photographer not bringing them back in, but so are the friends. They didn't say, get your butt back in here. And we should always try to be aware and conscious of that person and make sure they're feeling special too. Sorry, that's my soapbox.
No, I'm going to piggyback and what Dru said too. You're absolutely right. For me, when I'm at a con, I look for that shy person, that doesn't feel confident or good in their cosplay. And I make them try to shine. Me and my producer, Dana Morgan, we talk about this a lot too. We have sprinted across con floors because we saw one cosplayer who just so happened to have a cosplay that we liked, and they were not like that confident in it, and we made them feel like superstars, and now they're like cosplay models and stuff just because of that one interaction. For me, especially when it relates to the how to make money at a con thing and everything that we're currently talking about, what worked for me was just giving the cosplayers an experience. I would do private shoots, and it would just be an experience. We'll talk about why they're cosplaying as this character. I will work with them like, hey, everybody loves to do Spider-Man poses, but everybody can't do Spider-Man poses physically. And I have to explain to them, a 2D pose and you being a 3D being, we got to do things in a certain way. Or if you're a heavy set person, we got to do things in a certain way. Like Leigh and Dru, y'all said like y'all love to do the action poses and the things that make them look like their characters. My approach is I want you to look like you in cosplay, because you are, just being realistic, you're not Spider-Man, but you dressed as Spider-Man. So let's focus on that, because you don't have Spider-Man's body type. Let's focus on what's flattering for your body type with the cosplay you're wearing. I focus on that kind of aspect of it, or just bring out that shyness, because when I'm at a con, I'm an extrovert. You can't stop me from like being in your face and like loading you up and just saying how amazing you are because you're just in cosplay. I'm just a guy in a shirt like this. You have the nerve to be in cosplay and you look that good and you're shy in front of the camera. That's a no-no for me. I'm sorry. So I look for those people. I've been told so many times that the experience I give when I'm doing my large group shoots, like my avatar shoot, whatever photo shoot it is, people are impressed by my knowledge of the cosplay, the IP of the cosplay that they're playing, cosplaying as, the fact that I can come up with the scenes that they want to do, and just I'm fun. I'm a ball of energy. I not teach, but I like show people like this is a fun thing. I'm in my element when I'm in front of 100 people, and I'm like, all right, everyone do this, and that it means so much to me. I don't know how to explain that feeling of when you're shooting and you're getting the shots that you want, and people are having fun and just being themselves in cosplay.
It's called satisfaction.
Thank you. Thank you. There's so much satisfaction in just that moment of taking pictures and everyone's having fun, and like you're showing the pictures to people like, oh my God, I can't wait to see this. I love that. That's my favorite part of photography to me, is the act of taking the pictures.
You sound so satisfied. That's literally what it is. You're like, it's the satisfaction of being somebody's joy, the satisfaction of capturing somebody's awesome cosplay. It's the satisfaction, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being satisfied with yourself, knowing that you've made somebody else's day, or knowing that you've got something that you set out to get. Like, yeah, of course, you should be satisfied. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the way I've always looked at it, and I think I did an interview with Myron where I talked about this, is that photographers, we're givers of self-esteem, actually, whether we realize it or not. Just because no one puts on a costume saying, I don't want you to take a picture of me. Everyone wants to be, noticed and, validated and things like that. I remember looking on a forum one time and someone said, well, where did you get your confidence from? And they said, well, this photographer asked me to take a photo of me, and that meant the world to me. And that started me like on my journey.
Nice. Oh man, those are those memories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Goodness gracious. Yeah, photographers have a superpower. Real quick before I forget, you mentioned earlier about gear and you shooting your documentary and carrying a lot of stuff. I'm gonna be honest with you, I always have stuff like this in my bag. This is the Osmo Action Cam. Mm-hmm. This is the Osmo Micro, and then this is the Osmo Pocket. All of them will fit in your pocket, and they all shoot 4K, slow mo, all that stuff. So a lot of times, I did a shoot the other day, and they were like, "You can't bring your big cameras in there." I'm like, "Well, what do you consider big?" Because I have a regular camera and I got a tiny one. I can do whatever I need to do with them. So just to save yourself, it came back to me while I was thinking it. You might want to invest in these smaller devices that still will give you the things that you need. Now you can't switch lenses and all that stuff, of course, but you still get the 4K aspect, and you'll be able to like punch in if you need to.
Yeah,
I'll say too, slapping your phone on a gimbal, one of those handheld things too, because the iPhone camera is a beast, in terms of 4K and the frames per second and all that stuff. And I'm sorry, I don't have an Android, so I can't extol the virtues of Android. But I mean, I've been able to shoot some really cool stuff just using my phone and a gimbal.
Yeah. The new iPhone is rated, I think, for Netflix too. So like whatever 17, 20, I don't know what it is, but it's rated for Netflix. So definitely use your phone. I think what happens, and not to sidetrack, I know you have a schedule, but I think a lot of times people get caught up in like gear. They're gear junkies. What do you got? What do I need? And I'm like when I teach photography, especially whenever I teach at the Atlanta School of Photography, they're like, what camera's the best camera? And I'm like, the one you have. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like they were, I'll shoot 50. That's great. Nikon, it's also great.
I remember the days when I used to ask those questions, and like I will get these weird answers. Like, what do you like? I'll ask, what's the best camera, and then the answer will be, what are you shooting? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, just tell me what the best camera is. Now I understand those answers. Like, the best camera, again, like you said, Drew, the best camera you can have is the one that you have. Like, I shoot with Samsung. I use Samsung, has very good camera quality, shoots 4K. It can actually shoot circles around my cheap Canon camera, but something about the professionalism of having an actual DSLR when you're working with clients versus showing up with iPhone. That's a whole other episode. But yeah, more cameras the better. You can never go wrong with cameras.
You said earlier about money and making money and stuff. And I've had clients that are like, I'm like, what's your budget? And I'm like, they're like, my budget is this. I'm like, well, that's iPhone budget. You're still gonna get a great product.
Yeah. Oh, and they hate that when you tell them that too, and they're like, oh, my budget's $1,000. I'm like, okay, cool. That put you in this level of the gear that I'm finna bring. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm giving you $1,000. I'm like, well, I'm not finna bring out the red for this. I'm gonna just shoot with what I got. I'm not gonna go rent some extra stuff and break my bank because you want the higher end gear. Again, all that's a whole conversation for another day. I do want to bring up something you said, Drew, as we move on, because I do have a section for this. Shooting large cosplay shoots. I do it, Leigh does it, Bill does it. I know you don't do it, Drew, but I do want to talk about how to get into that spot of being a con photographer who is shooting these large shoots. And I want to start with Leigh because, well, I got the idea from you because I saw you do it for so long. So how did you get started?
I started off just being one of the people like in the line at the larger shoots. And I started off with a little like point and shoot. I didn't even have a DSLR. But I decided I figured out quickly that it was something that I wanted to do and get back into photography and things like that. So I just signed up. I think it was with the superhero costuming forum at the time that was going and was really big. And they were looking for photographers. And it just so happened that one time, I think it was a Cosmic Marvel shoot, and the person who was supposed to be shooting didn't show up. And so I was talking to Alan, and Alan was just like, "Okay, well, you're gonna do it." And I was like, "Oh my God, I guess I am gonna do it." And so I kind of got like, thrust into it and did, a good job, and just kind of kept moving along from that. That's kind of how I got into it. But and of course it does take time. It can be, stressful, it can be nerve-wracking. I think the key thing is to lean on people who like see people who have been doing this for a while. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I think it's also important when you're doing the large shoots to have like a director. Like a good director will take 50% of the burden, off of you. And like, I mean, I'll say too, like, I know Bill has been helpful to me. Like when I didn't have a director, you kind of came in, Bill, and you kind of arranged, people a certain way and all that kind of stuff. So helping and learning from the larger photography community, I think is something that will really help you. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Now, will there be some people who won't be so friendly? Yes, but the majority of people will actually want to help you. Like we help each other because we all are trying to do the same thing.
Yeah. Since you brought that up, last year at my Avatar shoot, because we did it before the Black Easter Dragon Con shoot. That was a funny situation, but we'll never do that again in that order. But at the end of my Avatar shoot, you came up and was like, "Hey, do you need some help? Do you want to blah blah blah?" And I was like, "Hey, just start sniping. Just start sniping people. We're doing our big finale of the shoot where we sing the song from the show, and off to the side, Black Easter Dragon Con's waiting." So you came, you helped me finish the shoot. Then we walked on Black Easter Dragon Con over, got everybody set up. We had to keep stuff moving because people wanted to take individual shots while we're trying to load up the next group shoot. So, I've learned a lot from you. And one of the biggest things I've learned, and forgive my Japanese, you have to be an asshole when you're at the photo shoot sometimes. You got to be an asshole.
Sometimes you do.
Yeah, you got to like, hey, we got time limits. We got to keep it moving. Y'all got to move on out the way. I've even almost gotten into fights just because people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna go do this." Like, no, I get my shot first. You get your shot next, and then we're gonna keep it moving. And another thing you brought up, having someone who can help you direct your photo shoot. I'm gonna give a big shout out right now to Royalty Cosplay. I have learned so much from her, just seeing her direct your shoots, seeing her direct the Black Easter Dragon Con shoot. I use her techniques, like I just straight up stole her techniques. I did not know how important it would be to have someone who can direct your shoot and help pose people while you're in the shoot, so you can focus on just shooting and remember to drink water
aspects.
in the middle of shooting. Because like hold on. Shoot and I'm just going. Go for it.
You was gonna throw hands at the con?
Oh my God. If it wasn't,
I have to confess, I've been there too, almost.
I was going to bring that one up because that was a unique situation, but I have to remember I like Dragon Con and I want to continue growing.
And I just know what is so serious. What is so serious about that it would be like come to a fisticuffs. Like what
okay,
is it?
Okay. Let me talk
Story
about
time.
Story time. So last year at Dragon
Story
Con,
time.
doing my Black Geeks of Dragon Con shoot, a drunk couple walks up and I'm literally 3, 2, 1, pose in the middle of the shot. And they decide to just walk through as we're shooting the shot.
Okay.
And I'm like, everybody behind is like, hey, hold on, we're doing a shot. Once we finish this shot, 10 seconds, we'll let you walk through. They decided to just walk through anyway. So I got shots of them just drunkenly walking through and all the Avatar cosplayers doing like cool stuff. And I
doing their poses.
Got so irritated in the middle of them doing that. I had to stop the shoot and it was a thing. Somebody had to pull me back. There was
okay. I thought another photographer came and y'all were like, "Whoa, what's up?"
No,
no.
Her name was Monica. She's this little petite lady, and she was helping me direct the shoot. She was like, "Mark, you come back." This little lady, I'm 5 times her size. She pulled me back and had to calm me down. So, yeah,
I like a little drama. I like a little Love Island, Love Dragon Con. I like a little bit.
To be fair, there are times where photographers are the problem. There's sometimes they're press that think they're hot shit. Other times it can be the videographers that every single setup they want to get. I want to get video. I'm like, you can suck it. Just because they feel some sense of entitlement to fuck with your timing, especially when you're on a tight sort of level. So there's definitely those times, but almost invariably it comes down to the same thing. People aren't playing nice with others.
Right.
They're not willing to work with you. They're not asking you. Because there's another videographer that he likes getting those. But first thing he'll do is when we're getting ready to start a shoot, he'll come up to me and going, hey, at some point when we have a decent sized group, I'd like to do a quick thing. I'm like, cool, you stand over there and remind me if I haven't gotten to you in a little bit and we'll do the thing. And it's when they get in there and just suddenly think they're going to. And just for a very silly side thing, we did have that once. We're doing a DC shoot. It was a Gotham shoot. And we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, some attendee is gone right up to the front of it and is like right up in the face of a Supergirl and getting these shots of her. And we're like, dude, get out. And he turns around, and it's Norman Reedus that's come out to smoke a cigarette from Walking Dead. And he's just right up there taking a picture. I'm like, Norman, get out of our shot. And it was that was funny, but
Yeah, I've had a situation like that one time where there was a content creator. He asked, well, can I just take a small selfie? And I said, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
And then he continued to interrupt the shoot and wanted to do several, and just take up time. And I was like, dude, and I think like my director at the time, or someone else saw me, how mad I was getting. And they were like, okay, dude, you need to just go, more than anything. And it wasn't necessarily I was upset for myself. I was just like, you're wasting everyone's time. And that just wasn't, you're being selfish and that wasn't cool. Like I tried to do a nice thing for you and you took advantage of it, more than anything.
Yeah,
I do hate that when people take advantage of your kindness when you're trying to be professional and just upfront, like, hey, if you can make it quick, we can do this. And then it's just devolves into chaos. My last photo shoot I did was at MomoCon 2026 this past year, and it was the Black Geeks of MomoCon shoot, spinoff of Black Geeks of Dragon Con shoot, and it was so chaotic in that space where we was at registration. It was the busiest day. It was the busiest time to be right there. I couldn't get back far enough to get a single wide shot. So I had to improvise. I had to do whatever. And all while I'm doing this, trying to run the shoot with everybody, all the content creators are in the back, just like singing, dancing, making noise, pulling people that are ready to take shots, and nobody can hear us. And we had to shut it down and like, hey, you're here for the photo shoot. Come over here. We're going to do this, blah, 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 X, Y, Z, and we got to get it done. I've had private shoots where people have interrupted me while I'm shooting, like, oh, I'm gonna just take a picture of this cosplayer while you're in the middle of a private shoot. Cool, that's fine, 1, 2, but then when you start taking over my private shoot and telling my cosplayers to open their eyes wider, and they're Asian cosplayers, that's a no-go for me right there, shutting it down. So many, I can do a whole show on like con photo shoots gone wrong. I can do a whole show.
I'm down for that. Let's do that sometime.
Yeah, we should totally do that. Stories, con photographer stories. There you go.
Behind the Lens can be the title of the episode.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that is so good. I'm gonna steal that. I have a free show.
Actually, one thing I'll say about it on the photographer side. So we talked about how making sure that we get pictures of the families, the ones that are clearly newer at cosplay. The one thing I will generally advise when possible is the lead photographer should not be the shoot director. Some people can do it. For the most part, it's a bad idea. The real reason is if you ever watch someone that's a director, the lead photographer will get their shot and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, done. And anybody else that was trying to get a shot may or may not ever get their chance. And it's not necessarily going to, they have a very specific focus. But again, some shooters can do it. But for anyone that was going to get into this and is newer, I'm like, have a different director. Because that way they can kind of see what's going on. And also that way the photographer can also learn a little bit more about what to be aware from. But the adjunct to that is the people on the wings, on the left and right flanks that have iPhones and stuff, at some point, bring them into the center and let them get a shot. Because again, just like, a Star Wars, the Supergiant Star Wars shoot. Do I need another photo of a stormtrooper? No, they all look the same. So it's kind of like, but if we can get new photographers into this, have them catch the bug, and they're the next generation, that's where we should be looking towards as well, making sure they get their shots. You can also always tell when it's a parent and there's one of their kids is down front and you've got them set up, is bring her up front, say, here, take a shot of your kid. Do it, get out of there. That way she'll have a good experience and then she'll be positive and talk about it to other folks.
I want to piggyback off that for a hot second. There are 2 shoots I do where I won't allow someone to direct it, and it's just because I've perfected those shoots. The Power Rangers Super Sentai shoot, whenever I do that at any convention, it's a wash, rinse, repeat. I'm a huge fan of Power Rangers. I've watched every season. I don't need nobody to direct me. You can make some suggestions, but I got Power Rangers and Avatar. Got that hands down. But if I'm doing any other type of photo shoot, regardless, I need somebody to be there. Like, I need you to help me pose these people, bring people up so I can take a break, do what I gotta do. But when I'm running those 2 main shoots, Power Rangers and Avatar, I start off with everybody. Then I instruct hey, any photographers, any other second shooters, you'll get your shot after mine. Videographers, you come up, get a pass by, go back once, go back twice, and then we're moving on to the next shot. And I organize my shoots to where I work big and then I get small and then I end big because people show up late.
Nice.
So I try to just wash, rinse, repeat that. Yeah. But there are some shoots where you can't do that, and that's Black Geeks of Dragon Con. It's too big. Just getting the first shot takes 30, 40 minutes, and then the smaller subgroups are huge groups by themselves. In their own right. So that's been a shoot that's both been fun to do, but also my white whale, if that makes sense. Like I'm Moby Dick and I'm hunting a whale that just keeps eluding me. I've done it a couple of times, but I haven't done it to where I'm satisfied at the end result as the lead photographer. So there's that.
You'll get there.
So as somebody, I don't do the big group stuff, and I've witnessed Dr. Laws do it. When you guys are shooting these big group shots, are y'all shooting for them or for you? In other words, when you're getting that shot, are you I want to make sure everybody's in it and it's just to put up to say that we were here? Or you guys are no, I need you guys to be posed like this. Give me all the DC shoot. You're give me all the Robins are like this. All Batmans are is it for you guys or you're doing it for the people?
I think for me, it depends on the shoot. Like I said, if it's Power Rangers Avatar, those are my bread and butter fandoms. It's for me and for them. But for me, if I'm the photographer of Black Geeks of Dragon Con, my philosophy is I just need to get the shot because there's so many people, we got to move on. Now, I've seen Dr. Laws and I've seen LaToya run that very same shoot. They do it for the people that are there. LaToya will, and I'm sorry for speaking for you, Philippe, but LaToya will be everyone on this side do this, and everyone on this side do this, and she is perfect at that. I'm sure Leigh can further go down and explain more about that. But that's
Yeah. Well, I mean, the way I look at it is it's for me because, I'm going to be a lot of the things that I had planned and set up are things that I like, but it's also for the people too. So like one of the things that we'll try to do is that every shoot, I know that now that Bill is doing it, that we're required to have a Facebook page, and we'll crowdsource different poses or groups or things like that, so that it's a little bit more interactive. And so we'll have our standard things, and then if we have time left over, we'll get things that people have said that they actually wanted. We'll make sure that people will fan out, like with the Jedi shoot. There's always a force push. Like with the Sith, there's a force lightning, right? And then we do like the Roy G. Biv thing, so the lightsabers look like a rainbow, and then they fan out. Then there's a face off. So there's all these different, things. And it's not just necessarily getting the big wide shot. I try to have like a second or third shooter that can go in and slice the individual people, so that each person will have an individual or a couple individual shots of themselves within the group as well, because then it feels a little bit more personal.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, the reason why I call Leigh my mentor is because, again, like how he just broke that down, he opened my mind to the possibilities of the creativity that you can do with cosplay shoots. Because for the longest time, I was just, okay, take the picture and just practice getting the settings down and understanding lighting's how lighting works and things like that, which lighting in photography, everybody here knows that's a whole other thing. But like, just I had to understand like how to look for certain shots, and Leigh helped me understand like, hey, go outside of the box. Sometimes go inside of the box. The box might have some good stuff in there, but go outside the box. Think outside the box. Implement other things into the shoot itself. Find ways to make it engaging. And I've learned all that from you. That's why I call you my mentor specifically.
Oh, thanks. Bill, what do you say? Because I know you do a lot of these too.
I mean, for me, it's for them. In the end, it's for making the memories for them, and getting them hooked so they'll come back and want to do it again. I mean, yeah, there's some shots that I particularly really want to get because I think it'll be cool and it's for me. But in the end, if they've put all the effort in my mind, it's not just me who put in the effort to haul along all of these, my camera gear and stuff. It's 600 of them that put their costumes together and schlepped it out here and stuff like that. I want to give them a chance that they're going to look good. And they can say, hey, I'm there in that shot or in that group. And it's, and I enjoy that. I get my jollies out of trying to get them something that they'll think that, oh, this was a great experience. I want to come do it again. Because that's fun by me. And to kind of what you're talking about is what's fun here is every one of us here have spoken about how we really appreciate the others, either how they run a shoot, how they photograph, how their art comes out, and it goes all the way around, and we all learn something from each other. And each one of us, I've seen, whether it was Dru or Leigh, it was like, oh, not me, I'm just whatever, I'm doing my thing. Because in the end, we're just doing something that we love, and we're helping inspire others. And just like we get inspired by others as well. I think every photographer out there, generally speaking, has some level of imposter syndrome. There's some other shooter that they could be standing next to and going, dude, I don't know what ends up on a camera next to this person. And so, look, we're all learning. We're always learning what's going on next. And so the more that we open ourselves up, spend time shooting alongside each other, asking questions, helping each other out, it's just going to be a good experience.
Yeah, I think that's so dope. Like hearing y'all, because again, you guys are deeper into the con, like the seriousness of the con. What I mean by that is like organized things that you guys do. You have things that you set up, organize. You're like, now I got to be here at this time. So and I like being around y'all when y'all do that. I don't want to do it, but I want to be. I'm the type of guy that wants to capture y'all capturing them. If that makes sense. Like if I'm at the con,
I like that. I love that.
I'm gonna be doing BTS of y'all work, and if Leigh's sweating, wiping it off, I'm getting slow-mo of that. I'm like, yeah, wipe that.
Yeah. Those are the shots for me. I love those shots.
Yeah.
The capturing the moments. Like when sometimes I'll do a big pano from the top of the steps all the way down, and here's the photographer line. And whether it's Leigh down there, I love those.
Yeah. I really love those.
I'm not gonna lie. When I was making the graphics and promos for everybody, and I was going through Leigh's photos on his Facebook page, I was like, I need more behind the scenes shots like this. I need more people to take pictures of me. So by all means, if you're watching this and you see me at a shoot, take pictures of me. Matter of fact, because I've used this picture a lot, so I had to kind of like retire it. But what was it, AWA last year for the Black Geeks of the Anime Week in Atlanta? One of my friends took a shot of me. It's I'm in the foreground, and in the background is just a wall of cosplayers, and
yeah,
that is my favorite shot of me. And all you see is the back of my head and my locks, and I'm wearing my Marvel hoodie. It was cold outside. I don't look the best, but like, oh my god, that is my favorite shot of me. It's just me in front of a bunch of black cosplayers in their best cosplay and directing them. And oh my god, I love that shot. And he shot it on a cell phone, and I love it so much. Shout out to Pop Tech for giving me that picture.
If y'all were there, if I go to Dragon Con and I see y'all there, I'll make it. I'm telling y'all right now, my goal will be to capture y'all doing y'all thing. I'm gonna be annoying with it. Everybody's gonna think it's a reality show. I'm just gonna be on y'all like this.
That's funny.
No, that's fine. I'm perfectly fine.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it because I don't really. My whole goal is to just be like, oh well, that's what's necessary and that's what's needed. I'm gonna get everything about Leigh. I'm gonna get everything about Bill. I'm gonna get everything about Mark. That's my whole goal here. So it's gonna be fun for me. And then I just give you the stuff. I'm like, hey, use it. I did a shoot today before I came here, shooting behind the scenes for another photographer. He literally was like, yo, can you come do assist and then come do some behind the scenes? And that's why I have all this gear out right now, actually, because I'm like, what do you want? Because I can bring the big dogs. You want me to do? I had this one was on my hat, and I was walking around like that, and then I had the one in my hand. I'm like, I love doing behind the scenes. That's what I do in TV and film. I do behind the scenes on TV and film. So it's like I love it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
I
got y'all.
That's awesome. Yep. So Bill, you just put a couple of links in the private chat. James, you're behind the scenes. If you don't mind, could you pull up some of his links? And everybody, please send links of your work, because we're nearing the end of the show, and I just want to show off some of the stuff we've been talking about, because the three of you are amazing photographers in your own right. Bill, you mentioned imposter syndrome. Guess what I've been feeling since this show has started? Because I've learned so much from each of you, and my own style reflects the people that have been there, that have been helping me and even punishing me, because I've messed up. I've made some mistakes, but like
that's okay.
Every one of y'all is amazing, and I just want to show it off. But yeah, James, we can just flip through all the pictures that we did.
Dang, this is a throwback picture. Look at Michael Cox. Wow. And that Cyclops. I photographed that Cyclops. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I love
that. It's an old shot. But again, those are the kind of shots that just end up being the favorites.
That is a dope shot.
What is it? Next one is, I think the next one is actually just an example that Drew, that you could come out and looking at the stuff that you've done. Shots like that of a large group, just go in tight. And so what you've got is just all color and, the faces and the expressions, and just pop it out.
And when I see shots like this is like, this gives me that feeling of like, oh, when I was a kid, I would love to have seen this. And I this is when I feel at home when I see this. Like, these are my people. Like, everybody here is just about it. Oh, that's such a dope shot. That's one thing I would like to do at a con. I would like to do some drone work. I don't know how I'd be able to do it, but I'm a certified drone pilot, so I would love to do some drone work to get some shots, like panning around people and everything.
Yeah,
man, what is that?
That was the Barbie shoot.
That's dope.
Now, okay, I wanted to bring this up too. So, do y'all notice how the entire staircase is taking up, as well as this extra side staircase? I think the
G steps over there. We had to fill that up. We were originally on the other side on the A steps, and I was looking at it going, okay, guys, we're all migrating right now. And so we went over to this side because it was bigger, but I mean, it was just madness, but it was a lot of fun. And it was sort of things where it was the year where it became its thing. And I really think that Dungeon Crawler is going to look like this year, just a little less pink.
It'll look like some of the old like Marvel shoots. Remember how massive those shoots used to be?
Yeah.
Wasn't there one that got press? It was one big group shoot. I remember one year that got some really good press, like some news station.
He has done Black Geeks of Dragon Con and the AJC and New York. The New York Times was there one year, I believe.
I think that's what I'm thinking.
They
of, the New York
were.
Times.
Well, we had the time that, what was it? It was uh, James Gunn came out back with the Marvel shoot, and it was hanging in the mix. We got some press around that. It's always fun when you get artists from your either artists or some of the celebrities that are there at Dragon Con. They choose to come out and join the shoot. Those can be a lot of fun.
I have yet to have that experience for one of my photo shoots, but that's on my bucket list of having.
We should chat with the Rangers sometime and see what they would come out and swing and
cash
it for a shoot.
Yeah, I mean, because we actually had that happen a couple of times. Like I know, like with the X-Men shoot last year, the guy who does the voice for Professor Xavier came out actually. And he was like, saying some of Xavier's lines like Magnus, no, and everybody was like reacting and everything. That was super cool. That was super cool.
You know what? I have another story time, and it's one of your photo shoots, Leigh. You remember that year where you and LaToya was late because you was trying to get the creator of Black Panther to show up to the Wakanda Forever shoot, and I just happened to be there and was like, you know what? I'm gonna just run the shoot until y'all get here.
Yep.
That was a really fun experience.
Wow. And that happens sometimes, And I thank you for that.
Dang.
For sure.
I think the only story time I have like that is with what's his name? Oh, George Perez.
Yeah.
And I was just there chilling, and I think I was photographing Cutie Pie Sensei, and something happened. But he came there, and we were just talking, and I was like, my brother is one of your biggest fans. So my brother is in his 50s. So my brother, his whole art style is based off of like George Perez and like a lot of these older. And he said, you want me to give your brother a shout out? I was like, all right. So I tried to call him. He didn't pick up. So we just left a video voicemail for him. And then like just ever since then, like George Perez has just been like on my phone. So
now,
I was gonna say, sometimes really cool things happen as well, where like people have gotten engaged during a shoot, like during the Batman shoot.
I've done one of those.
Yeah.
There was a time where there was a guy who was doing Thomas Wayne, Flashpoint, I guess, Batman, and they did Martha Wayne as the Joker. And Athena Finger was there, Bill Finger's granddaughter, and they totally decided that they wanted he came to me beforehand and he said, is it okay if I get engaged at the shoot? I was like, sure. So all of a sudden, you know what you got? Engagement photos at a con, right then and there. So I got the moment where like he proposed to her. So that was really cool.
I've had one of those. I think in 24, I did a Mandalorian shoot, and that same thing happened where they came to me in the middle of the shoot, was like, hey, I want to do this, this, and this. I was like, bet, I got you. You lucky I prepared for this because I want this from my bucket list to be crossed off. So that ended up being a great shoot. While we're looking at, I think these are Dru's pictures. Right?
These are freaking sick. These are so good, man.
Yes.
I'm sitting here looking at some of these going, I want to try see this one and this one. It'd be fun to have a conversation sometime just to go over approaches to style, whether it's the groups or whether it's something else, or like how you do your composites and how you do your layering on those. You just got a sweet eye on these things.
You are in luck, because that was the question I was about to ask him. Like, can you just like this start off, because before we did the Tonight Show, I had a channel member or a fan reach out, and they wanted to ask, are we going to talk about the aesthetics of how we compose our shots and how we add certain elements and things like that? And Dru, since you are the king of that, I would love to thank you. This is the shot I was talking about earlier, by the way. But Dru, what goes in your mind when you are composing your shots, when you're editing your photos and getting those really good looks and adding graphics and certain other elements and details into the photograph? What goes through your mind?
Well, first I have to know the character that I'm shooting. So once I understand the character, because a lot of times if I'm doing something like anime or something like that, and I'm not big into anime and I don't know, I have to ask questions. But then it's like I'm trying to capture the aesthetic of that character, so it looks like them come to real life. When I first started doing cosplay and like studio style stuff, my whole goal was to make cosplayers look like they belong on Vogue magazine. So I'm like shooting it like high fashion type stuff. So a lot of times I literally play epic music, like super epic, like movie scores and stuff when I'm like editing, because I'm like, oh, I want to feel like whatever it is. So like if you look at one of the Mario Kart picture. Of course, I'm playing the Mario Kart theme in my head, and I'm like hearing the sound of a blue shell coming. So when I'm doing the editing, I'm like, okay, what would be happening? So I'm like, well, if this person's moving at this speed, there's definitely going to be motion blur. And if I'm shooting with a shallow depth of field in real life, right? Like if I'm shooting at 2.8 and I'm close up, then the background's going to have a nice bokeh or be shallow or blurry. So that way, when I'm compositing a blue shell in there, it's going to be blurry as if you would see it. So a lot of times, and a lot of mistakes I see people make when they're doing compositing is they're not attaching real life aspects to the things that they're compositing with. What I mean by that is if you have a character like this and they're doing lightning and you just do lightning on the hand, but you don't do light on the face, you're like, well, where's the light going that's coming from the lightning? So a lot of times when you're compositing, the goal is to make people feel like that's a real situation. Photoshop is a giant lie and you're trying to convince people that it's real. That's the fun part about it. So that's why when I do things, I'm adding motion blur, I'm adding atmospheric dust to certain things. So if I have like a character that's standing in a field and they're like powering up, they're just not going to just be there powering up. You'll see the ground. It'll have like motion blur and you'll see dust coming up because it's like what aspects are really happening. So whenever you're thinking about compositing, really think about what's happening. Or if you want to take it a step further, grab a light, right? Let's say if you have some kind of light, like a ball, sometimes they have like light, like a light bulb. Hold that in your hand and look at it. And you're like, oh, well, if this character is Storm or if this character is like Black Lightning or something, and they're holding it, the way the light would be casting is like that. So when you're doing the compositing, you would do the same thing. A lot of times people do the composite electrical powers or any kind of like energy blast, and they won't put the light from the blast back onto the character. So just whenever you're compositing or you're thinking of the character that you're doing, for example, a Cyclops optic blast, right? When I did one with Michael Cox back in the day, and I did Cyclops optic blast, you would think like, oh, it should be like hot and all this stuff around. I'm like, his optic blasts aren't hot. They come from another dimension, and it's kinetic force coming out. So it's not heat. So you wouldn't add that there. However, if you're doing somebody like, let's say, Magneto, right? You would do like a slight Gaussian blur or motion blur around when he's doing his powers to make it feel like it's vibrating. So the whole thing is when you're doing composites, try to trick the person into believing what they're seeing, no matter what it is.
That's going to be a whole other episode by itself too.
One thing I want to call out for folks for, let's see how to put this. Something that actually got called out in San Diego Comic-Con a year or two ago when we were, I'm part of the photography show team there as well. And we were going over it and we got feedback on it. Is like we were seeing more folks of color on panels and stuff like that. And what was brought up to us is like, be conscious of skin tones across all the people that are sitting up there on that panel, which same thing for cosplayers and stuff as well. Make sure everyone looks good. It's because so many folks like myself, without really being conscious of it until being called out on it, it's kind of like, oh, wait, I'm used to normalizing for particular types of skin tones, and I'm not giving other folks the same grace because I'm simply not as familiar with it, and I just took some time to get better at it and making sure that I'm pulling out the true colors and I'm not kind of normalizing it to something I think they are.
Huh.
You know what I mean?
Well, I know exactly what you mean because I forgot, I think it was Kodak or somebody got called out, like a big company, because they're like, everything you did was not for everyone, right? It was for a specific genre of people. So for me, but when I'm looking at it as a photographer, I'm like, are you not seeing it? It's kind of like if you guys know this, if a photographer uses the wrong white balance, I'm like, you didn't see that was really warm? Like, is it burning up outside? Like, what's happening? Are they freezing? Why is it so blue? Right. It's like that. So if you see a skin tone, now, if you don't know how to edit it, then I'm like, okay, well, maybe you might want to ask and figure it out. So ignorance, which is not always a bad word, ignorance I can excuse, but if you're just like, I don't care, that's
exactly. Right. And I think for us, it was more of a thought, and for me, especially, this is like when I have a group of 5 people, different skin tones. I'm like, I want to make sure everyone looks good, and everyone looks like I'm not balancing them out different. It's kind of like my hatred of shooting anime characters. I hate shooting anime characters outside because they have those big ass hats with those big brims. So
and it casts the shadow
in light, or their faces light, but not the both. And I'm like, I need a bounce card. Oh my God, I need a bounce card. But they always have those big, hey, Vampire Hunter D. No, you go away. I don't want to try. But just always be aware of what you're shooting. That's such a great thing. But knowing your characters, and I love with your composites that you've got here, how much you do a lot but you're not doing a lot at the same time. You're putting in the numbers, the sort of graphics and lights that are needed for it, but then you're stopping. I think we've all seen so many times where people like just the whole thing is so synthetic at this point, you can barely see the cosplayer that was there. But each of these kind of like, you can kind of, even on this one page, you can kind of see where your skills progressed from time to time. And it's like, oh, you get better at it and you're dialing it in. So I love like the Ahsoka, and I think there's an Anakin on there. It's like, love the shot is so clear and so sharp.
Appreciate you. Yeah, that's a good. The Anakin one was a good example because the lightsaber. That's a good example of like adding the light on there because the lightsaber wasn't that strong versus you're using strobes. So It's like, well, you have to make it believable, and that's even when I'm teaching my Photoshop classes. It's like you have to make people believe that lightsaber is really lighting up or that lightsaber really has some heat to it. You know what I mean? So that's a good.
Let me see. Drew, I'm gonna put something in here in the chat. I'm gonna see if you remember this.
Okay.
From Flickr. I'm gonna see if you remember this
one.
Oh
God, Flickr.
Flickr?
Yeah, the one I just took. Yeah, I'm still a Flickr dude. If you click on the last link, this was an example of a technique that you taught me one time shooting. So I don't know, Mark, if you can click on that last link that I put in there.
Is it one high key light?
Yeah.
James, pull up the last link that Leigh dropped in, please.
And this was something relatively simple that you did when we were somewhere. It was a dark parking lot.
Yeah.
And
is that infinite black technique where you can like you have like a high shutter speed and you go over your camera shutter speed limit for flash and you can get like an infinite deep black look, or am I mistaken?
No. That was just one LED, I believe.
Okay.
I don't even remember this. Those are dope.
Remember that?
I've shot that Black Panther before, but no, these are dope. Like
scroll down. There's a couple more. There's even some LED ones, and this was just you, Drew, holding the light over them.
I was.
Yeah, you were holding the light actually.
That's
that one with the storm looks so sick.
Yeah, the White Ranger storm. Yeah, Jay did a really good job with that one. But there's even a grifter.
Oh, that's the Gold Ranger armor on the Black Panther. Oh, that's dope.
Yes. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, different. Very different.
So wait, so like what's interesting here? So what you're saying you guys were using was basically one LED bar?
One kind of square LED, I believe.
I mean, like, yeah, that's a great example of like something that's not going to be very expensive, but you're getting some great, and you have one person just hold it or have a really lightweight a tripod for it, and just there you go, you get some great shots, and you're blowing out the whole thing, so you're not seeing cars.
Oh, that grifter.
Now, let me ask you,
the grifter with the LEDs. I think that was just a regular 5D Mark IV. I think
this was outside.
This was outside. It was literally a parking lot. It was just a parking lot that we were at.
And that's for me, because my thing is like I love to just jump in and help and do things. I'm like, just give me the light, I'll hold it, move it right here. So it's like looking at these, I love to see people do dope work.
So,
man,
you know what? Now I'm starting to get a hankering for have a group of call it a shoot the shit gathering, like Thursday night or something before at Dragon Con, where we just hang out back before the DJ sets up out in the back patio. We can all just kind of hang around, chill, do a pub crawl, or do shots, do photos as we wander around, or just talk about how to do things together.
I'm so down for that. I'm 100% so down for that.
I mean, if you guys want, like, I'll bring as many setups, and we can, if y'all want to shoot things outside or whatever, we can just do that. Because I know, Bill, you're traveling out from California, so you mean
I'll be there as of Wednesday. I'll be there Wednesday at the latest. So,
okay,
I'm down.
That's dope, because even if you got like a cosplayer or something like that, or we can do portraits of each other or whatnot. It's literally like just different lighting setups, different lighting types. Which one works? What do you do? And a lot of times, your LED, because you asked the question about shutter speed. If you're shooting with strobes, you can't. If you with Canon, you can't go over 200th of a second or
200th of a second.
It's 200.
But I have like a high speed sync, and I'm on the panel of masters, and I'm still an intermediate photographer myself. I am struggling trying to do high speed sync like type shots where you go past that limit on the camera, and I even got like one of the strobes to do it, and for whatever reason I struggle with that. I struggle with a couple of technically sound things like sharpness and focus because of my own vision issues. So I rely on autofocus a lot, and autofocus is not necessarily it all the time.
Well, yeah, depending. Well, okay, so now this is when we can actually get into when gear matters.
Okay.
A lot of these new cameras, they have their it's like 100-point autofocus, yada yada. It's like locking on.
Exactly.
I know my Sony locks onto your eyes. Like I just hold it up and it immediately goes to the eyes, right? So it's like
it tracks.
If you have a situation where you're like, hey, my vision is limiting me in some situations, maybe you want to upgrade to a camera that is doing a better autofocus, so you're always locked in sharp. Not only that, you're making sure, depending on what you're shooting for, is if you're shooting with an f-stop of f8 or higher. So it's like if you're shooting to get a bokeh, you're more likely to miss, right? Unless you're locking something specific. You're shooting, like I just want to make sure everything's sharp. You just want to make sure your f8 or greater. So but in your case, it sounds like really it is the gear, right? That helps you lock in.
Right.
Shooting with your glasses on?
Yeah, I shoot with my glasses on.
Yeah.
Well, also no. Let me go back and it depends. It depends because I'm one of the photographers that shoots actually through the viewfinder. I don't like use the LC, the back of the screen unless I'm doing video. So I like to see with my eye, and if I do that, I'm obviously taking off my glasses to go through the viewfinder, just so I can get a cleaner look. Like, because like with glasses on, I know that can kind of affect the sharpness a little bit too because of how just light works and reflects. So yeah, I've had to compensate. Matter of fact, Leigh, talk about imposter syndrome moment. Leigh, you were giving me tips during a Black Easter Dragon Con shoot, and I don't know what I was hot or something. I just got overwhelmed. My camera overheated, and I was just like, you know what? I can't do this. I can't. And you were telling me Sunny 16, all this and that, and I knew what to do, but I still was not getting the shots crisp and clean, and I kind of rage quit in the middle of just trying to like do it. Luckily I wasn't being shooter, so it was like my pictures didn't really matter, but like that was something I really struggled with, and I even felt a little embarrassed because I was like, damn, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I'd put you through a boot camp. The same way Leigh talked about, he put on his gear and walk around the neighborhood like a crazy person.
I'm down for it. I'm down for photography.
You want to do BTS sometime? What you do is think the Rambo montage of weaponing, suiting up with the weapons, but it's all the camera gear. And you just sit there, you start lashing things in, you're putting stuff in the case. It's like, okay. And, complete with either Rocky or Rambo music and put it all together. And it's all the thing about learning. One thing you can also get as an app for your phone that's free is a depth of field calculator. Because if you're still kind of working with, all right, I'm going to do 2.8 at this shutter speed, yada yada, calculate up what your depth of focus is going to be. So, like, I've got a 50 millimeter 1.2, which is fabulous, but my depth of field is like half an inch if I'm anywhere close to someone. So the tip of their nose is going to be in focus, but their cheek is going to be out of focus. It's like, having that to kind of work with and learn it a little bit. You're not usually going to whip that out when you're in the midst of convention, but just to yourself kind of going, okay, with a 2.8 at 15 feet, what's that going to more or less be like? General settings, have that in your head. And, that can kind of help you a little bit as well, as far as your focus. The other thing you can do if you're going to do lighting, especially out back, is turn on a phone light or something like that, focus, and then turn off your autofocus. Just leave it. And then turn your light back up. Now, but then neither you nor your cosplayer, move distance. But now you can kind of shoot some and get some stuff. Right. I would like to play with some of those cool cranking up your f-stop and doing the LED drawing behind
the light painting. I used to do that.
Where you do that all up and it just exposes it you get this great kind of like fire effect. You can get those. The other thing you can practice with is just look at second shutter flash as well. So you're actually doing the flash at the tail of it rather than at the start of it. So you can have a bit of a different, especially if you're doing some sort of action blur but then the figure, you have some blur of what they just did like a punch, but then it flashes and you get them locked in. But again, it's a sort of thing to practice.
I think on the Canon, it might be it's called rear curtain. That's what you're talking about?
Yeah, on Canon it's a second curtain flash.
On Canon, okay.
One of the
that's
other
it.
things too, especially if you're shooting outside, is to use the Lumi app because that'll let you know when your
Yeah.
golden hour photos are approaching as well, and
Wait,
when the
use the
sun's gonna
what?
go down. It's called Lumi. It's a app, and it shows wherever you're at, like how much sunlight to or how much time it takes before the sun is gonna actually go down and when golden hour starts. It's
Interesting.
just LUMY Lumi.
Is it free?
Yeah, it
Okay.
is.
Also,
And you can install it on your watch.
we will have the lights outside again this year as well. I think I asked for it on the A steps, but I'll confirm.
Okay. Oh, so they won't be on both steps? It'll just be
We've
one?
only had it on one set of steps for a couple of years.
Okay.
Perfect. This has been awesome. Thank you all for coming on tonight. I know we're going over time a little bit, but we can go ahead and wrap the show up now. Before we go, where can everybody find you all on the internet, Dru?
For my nerd stuff, is you can go to I Drew That on Instagram. IDRUTHAT. I drew that on Instagram.
Okay. Bill.
Bill RW and the number 3, all socials. You can find me out there.
All right, and Leigh.
Dr. Law's Photo Lab on Instagram and everywhere else.
Thank you all for coming up. I have a free show August 3rd. I'm going to work with Dana and see what we can do. But between an idea I'm having and what we've already talked about, we're going to revisit this business of cosplay photography and really like dive into some things. This was more for just bringing the series back so I can have it current again. But thank you all for showing up. What is the next event? I know for me, Leigh, and Bill, it's going to be Dragon Con, but what other events are coming up that you're looking forward to where you're going to be at, where people may be able to find you?
I just go where people tell me to show up.
So, are you going to be at Dragon Con this year?
I mean, I didn't plan on it, but now that y'all say y'all going to be doing these big shoots and I want to do BTS, I might show up. I just need to know what day because
I will see my itinerary.
So yeah, if y'all let me know if you're like, hey, we're doing these group shoots on a Saturday, whatever, I'll pop in there and I'll come do some BTS to y'all.
Okay. Here, I just sent you the link here on the side chat for where you can find the schedule.
Okay. Oh, it's up.
I'm gonna need that right now. Actually.
And for me, actually next week is San Diego Comic-Con. So that'll probably be the thing.
I've never even
Bill. What are you doing out there? Because I got a ticket. I'm just debating whether or not I'm going to go or not.
I'm with the house photography team, so running around panels and exhibitor hall and just things around the gas lamp district of San Diego and doing shots wherever they come and send me.
Okay. Well, cool. Well, if I'm out there, I'll let you know. I'm assuming Dan will be there too, right? Because Dan lives in San Diego, right?
Yeah, he'll be there.
Okay, cool. But I'll let you know for sure if I'm out there.
Please do.
Hey, Bill, you said it was Bill R Photo?
Bill RW3.
Oh, Bill RW3.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe I have all y'all links to your things in the description. So if you want to go back and hit the description and get everybody's stuff that you're missing.
Oh, and Mark, you didn't say where they could find you. Oh,
well, you can find me everywhere on the internet under Blerdography, and you can find Blerdkast everywhere on the internet. Coming up, this is the last show of July, but August 3rd, we'll have a free show. It's either going to be a potpourri episode or it's going to be something about cosplay photography. So please be on the lookout for that. And August 17th, it's my birthday, so we're doing members only me edition. Members are going to come on. They're going to ask me questions. It's going to be a Q&A. We're going to show some behind the scenes stuff, the things I've been working on. It's going to be an exciting show. And then August 31st, we have our annual Black Geeks of Dragon Con pre-show, as Dragon Con will be that week. So we got some things coming up. So please stay tuned. For everybody else, this has been Blerdkast Live. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you when I see you. Peace.
All right.
Yeah. How you move it, how you wind it up. We can jump into it, we can line it up. We can stay slow with you, me. We can stay slow with you, me. Yeah. Need somebody to much to see. Maybe I can show you now. Lay your top with the top down.